Hello, you're welcome to my channel. Let's look at question approach small. Yeah, question 1 says you've been exposed to advanced ethics, conceptualization and principles in your study. As a knowledgeable person in ethics, discuss the relevancy of emphasizing ethical practices in business. So you look at the keywords, discuss the relevance of emphasizing ethical practices in business. So they are looking at the importance of business ethics. Yeah, so you give the importance of business ethics. There are very many. We looked at them in one of the previous videos, the first videos. It promotes a good image for the business. It increases production, increases profits, increases sales, employee retention, customer retention, like everything. Yeah, so you talk about the importance of business ethics. You can first define what business ethics is. Yeah, then you give the importance. Then here, discuss how managers can build an effective integrity system in their organizations. Here you can either give the ways of building an integrity system in the organization, but you can use the pillars of integrity, yeah, as your answers. And some of the answers we have is ethical principles and values. These ones, ethical principles and values, clear laws, rules, standards that are openly communicated. They advise mechanisms on ethical issues as a practice or measure, protection of whistleblowers to ensure problems are identified. You reward integrity. You put there like ethics training, transparency of interest, decisions and processes, enforcement of law with adequate powers and penalties, ethical leadership, proper reporting mechanisms. Yeah, so these are some of the ways of building an integrity system in an organization. Yeah, then the next question, whistleblowing has been identified as one way of fighting unethical behavior in business. As such, many companies have made legislations that tend to encourage more whistleblowing. Discuss how whistleblowing fights unethical practices. So you're supposed to discuss how whistleblowing fights unethical practices. First of all, you can first define what whistleblowing is. You give the types of whistleblowing, and then you come and explain like what they've asked. Yeah, some of the ways, like how whistleblowing fights unethical practices. It reveals the inconvenient truth. It promotes structured learning. It empowers people to speak out in case they see something wrong. It provides unique insights, like the managers will start being keen on particular issues. Yeah, and very many others. You can also get your own answers. Yeah. Then the second question, they're saying show the strategies that public institutions can use to make whistleblowing more effective. Ways of making whistleblowing more effective, like when workers can easily report something wrong in case they see it. Mine are here, though they are random. You can also have your own. First is protection of whistleblowers. Then you put clear procedures in place. You investigate and follow up in case someone reports a misconduct. You foster a speak-up culture. You establish an anti-retaliation policy. You assess and follow up. Then you provide training, yeah, on how they can report and everything. So these are some of my answers of how whistleblowing can be more effective. You can also come up with your own. Yeah, all answers are correct. Then The second question says, one of your senior staff who is helpful and an icon of the organization has been involved in fraudulent practices all along. Recently, the senior staff has been apprehended, implicated, and found guilty with well-documented evidence. Importantly, you have an array of options at stake. You can either fire him, pardon him, or demote him if you so wish. So they are saying, discuss the utilitarian approach to such issues. Yeah, you can first define the utilitarian approach. Yeah, you are not limited. You can write everything like what you think utilitarian approach is, yeah, and everything. Then after you come to the case and then relate to the case. Utilitarian approach, it is a theory of greater happiness. Like an action is considered right if it satisfies the majority and it harms the minority. So here you have three options. You'll have to evaluate all of them. Yeah, and see which option harms the minority and brings happiness to the majority. So when you're answering this question, you're supposed to talk about the three issues. Fire him, pardon him, demote him. You talk about them, like their effects. How do they affect the majority? How do they affect the minority? Yes, so it's what they're saying. Discuss the utilitarian approach to such ethical issues. Then after that, they're saying, what in your judgment would be a morally appropriate course of action in this case? So here you choose, it's personal. Yeah, according to you, what do you think they should do for this person? Because he was involved in fraud. Yeah, and they found out. So they can either demote him, fire him, or pardon him. So you choose and you give a reason for your answer. Yeah. Then the next question says, Ugandan leaders in business and political world are now and again reported for office misuse and resource mismanagement. As a Ugandan and a business ethics scholar, identify and explain the role of ethical leadership, ethical tools in restoring sanity among Ugandan leaders. So we talked about the ethical leadership, you talk about the impotency, and then ethical tools, you also talk about their impotence. Yeah, how they can restore sanity in the country. Yeah, in the country. So you talk about ethical leadership, you first define it, then you give like its importance in restoring sanity. First is that it builds trust, it brings about collaboration, it promotes ethical behavior and all that. We talked about that in one of our previous videos in topic 3. Then the ethical tools, we also talked about them. So you talk about how they restore sanity in the country. Yeah. Then the next question. The next question, it's saying, that name is a company that deals in baby formula feeds. This company remained strong and a market leader even in situations of COVID-19 recession that was witnessed recently. Its CEO, Mr. Ebeno, attributed the success of his company to using ethical tools. So they want you to discuss the ethical tools as referred to this and how they help the organization to achieve its excellency. So you give the ethical tools. We have integrity. You define integrity and then its importance. Code of conduct, you define it and its importance. Code of ethics and its importance. Whistleblowing and its importance. Punishment and its importance. Rules and regulations and its importance. Yeah, then the next question. Business existence and success are underpinned by theoretical frameworks which guide decisions and operations. Use ethical theories and relevant examples to discuss the statement. So here you give like any three ethical theories, you discuss them like what they mean, and then you give the relevance and criticism. We have very many. We have the Kantian, we have the utilitarianism theory, we have the egoism theory, we have the feminist theory, rights and justice. So you choose any theory. Yeah.